Hello, this is Kim Ant. Material Activation. Part 3. Blending Stump Techniques. In this lesson, we'll analyze the role of the blending stump, a tool that helps with shading, and put it into practice. A blending stump is made of tightly rolled paper, and it works by rubbing existing graphite and carrying it deep into the paper texture. Because it is made of paper, if you rub too hard, the Kent paper can get damaged. You need to be careful. Once the paper becomes damaged, the texture becomes rougher as if worn down, making shading more difficult, and in severe cases, the paper may even tear. If you look at the animal silhouette we worked on earlier, the sheep and grass were planned using the darkest tone possible with a pencil. During the process of building these dark tones, the paper tends to get heavily damaged, so dark tones are shaded only with a pencil. If you use a blending stump on these dark tones, graphite sticks to the paper stump, and as more graphite transfers onto the stump, the tone you created becomes lighter. You can darken it again with a pencil, but since the paper is already heavily worn, repeating this process will eventually tear the paper. The reason we shade is to maintain the planned tone while making the surface smooth. Dark tones require stronger pressure, and when pressure is applied, the shading naturally becomes smooth, so we proceed only with the pencil. The blending stump should only be used outside of the darkest pencil-shaded areas, and bright areas should also be excluded because they can become too dark. It is best to use the blending stump only on middle tone areas. Even middle tones can be divided into lighter midtones and darker midtones. For brighter areas, using your finger works better. Hold an eraser while rubbing with your hand, stretch out your thumb, and rub sideways while avoiding the sweat gland in the center. As graphite builds up on your thumb, the tone becomes lighter, so wipe your thumb against the eraser you're holding. If you repeat this process, you can shade lighter than the originally planned tone. Now let's assign tools by tone range. The darkest tones use the pencil, dark midtones use the blending stump, and light midtones and bright tones use the hand. Let's shade the plane we practiced in part 1 using the blending stump. Since it's a light midtone, using the hand would technically be correct, but we'll practice with the stump instead. The method is almost the same as using a pencil. The grip is the same, and you only use a limited area similar to the side surface of a pencil tip. You only use about this much, not the entire surface. Just as you don't build tone in one pass with a pencil, but instead build it through repeated cycles, the blending stump should also not be rubbed hard all at once. Use it with about 20% stroke feeling and 80% blending feeling, more gently than a pencil. Keep the spacing between strokes as tight as possible, and use it the same way you use a pencil. If you apply too much pressure with the blending stump, graphite can settle deep into the paper texture as stains, so we'll practice relaxing the pressure on both sides. Since this is a surface plane, it's okay if graphite keeps building up on the stump, but when using it on a brighter area, you need to remove some of the graphite first. If you sharpen it like a pencil, the soft graphite on the curved surface can form hard edges, making shading more difficult, and the rolled paper stump itself may even unravel. Since the blending stump is made of paper, you should clean it using an eraser. This is how you can remove the graphite. Let's summarize. Don't try to make it dark in one pass. Use about 20% stroke feeling and 80% blending feeling, repeating the process in cycles. Keep the spacing between strokes as tight as possible, and relax the pressure on both sides so the paper surface won't get damaged. If it becomes too dark, wipe the stump on the eraser. Now, on the surface plane made from small planes in part 1, while following the proper method, let's rub it with the blending stump. We'll repeat this process about twice. When coming back down one more time, let's slightly change the angle, similar to turning the pencil angle just a little. If you keep repeating this process, the surface treatment will become very clean. Now we'll apply this practice process to the animal silhouette and continue the shading. When creating the tones for the field and the sheep, we used a 6B pencil. As I mentioned before, pencil tip tones are mostly similar. Compared to softer pencils, slightly harder pencils work better for shading. We'll shade the field and the sheep using this 2B pencil. The sky and the dark clouds will be shaded using the blending stump. The most important thing is repeating the process while cycling through it 2 or 3 times. The reason we don't sharply change direction is because diamond-shaped textures can interfere with creating a smooth surface. However, once the surface treatment has already progressed, even if you sharply change direction, you can still create a smooth surface. You only need to be careful during the early stages. Now let's shade the middle tones using the blending stump. If the blending stump is clean, the tone becomes lighter as graphite transfers onto it. But if a lot of graphite has already built up on the stump, the more you rub, the darker it can become. As you continue cycling through the process, the tones can start blending together. When that happens, restore the tones again with the pencil. Then continue the shading process once more. As the tones become slightly disturbed during shading, restore them again with the pencil while cycling through the process. Then smooth them out once more and keep repeating this process. As we smooth out the tones we originally planned, the tones gradually mix together, so we restore the tones again, smooth them again, and continue cycling through the process. Shading is one of the most time-consuming parts of the entire process, so take your time and follow along slowly. The key point is making the surface as smooth as possible. Today, we learned about separating tools according to tone range, the characteristics of the blending stump, and how to use it through practice. Thank you for following along this far. You worked hard again today.